Hey everyone, what's up? It's Cubs fan Han back again for a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, and let me give a quick shout out to my buddies at gaming-fans.com. Go ahead, check them out. They're also on Twitter at gamingfansdfn, and today I am super excited to be introducing you guys to a new video series that I'm going to be collaborating with Nukin on. Nukin, my man, what is up?
What's up, Cubs? Thanks for having me on your channel. I'm excited to do some collabs with you. And why don't you let everyone know what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, hey, Nukin, you get to join me for my first green screen video. I'm happy, got some new toys. A special thanks to my patrons, actually, who have kind of helped finance that. So really appreciate it, guys. But yeah, for this video, we're actually going to be talking about Commander Luke Skywalker, and not how to use him, but how to beat him when you don't have him. There's a lot of guys out there who didn't get Commander Luke Skywalker. That was a pretty narrow time frame for you to unlock him, and there are some really specific characters you needed at high stars to get him, all the way at 7 stars, in fact. So today we're going to be talking about not 1,
not 2, not 3, not 4,
the 5 teams that you can use to beat Commander Luke Skywalker that don't use Commander Luke Skywalker at all.
So we broke it down into 3 basic categories for the 5 teams that we're going to be showing you. And those go in order of Zeta dependence. How many Zetas do you need to put on this team for it to be effective, to basically beat scumbag Luke teams? Secondly, mod dependence. Do you need to have god mods, or can you get by with average or below average mods? And then lastly, RNG. Sometimes you go and you can win it on any day of the week, and then sometimes you're going to have a few tries to attempt to beat the team. So we're going to talk a little bit about RNG as well. So I guess without further ado, let's get started.
Alright, so this first team is actually Wigs with Chase and R2-D2, and you can see the mods here on this screen. This is my buddy Darth Jar Jar. Now, something to note quickly about this team in particular is he is in a bit of a younger shard. This is a November 2016 shard. So this team may not be as viable in more seasoned shards, but it is viable in his, and I know a lot of you newer guys are still wondering what you can use to beat Commander Luke Skywalker, because some people got him. But he is going to be, I mean, as far as Zeta dependence, what do you think about that, Nukin?
Yeah, so for this team, it's going to be about average. The only Zetas that this team actually has is on R2-D2. So the whole team is light side, and there are a bunch of rebel scumbags on here. But
you rebel scum.
If you Zeta number crunch, that's going to be pretty solid. And if you need some extra cleanse potential, you can do the combat analysis on R2-D2. But sure, it does have an AoE cleanse, so we're looking at least 1 Zeta, if not 2. So pretty average there. And what do you think about mods?
For mods, you're definitely going to need to be super fast. You really want to have R2-D2 in particular fast enough. I would want to have Chert really fast, and then also, I mean, really everyone except for Baze pretty much needs to be fast on here. And then looking at RNG, this team is going to be pretty RNG dependent, I think, probably higher on the scale for RNG. My buddy Darth Jar Jar told me that if he's going against Raidhan, all it takes is for him to stun R2-D2 or maybe Wedge, and he's done. And he doesn't have enough damage output. So that's kind of a catch to this team. It does take a little bit of RNG dependency, but when things do go right, as you can see in this footage, they go right pretty well, and he's left with 5 standing. Alright, moving on to option number 2, and this is going to be a Rex-led team with General Kenobi, R2-D2, Kylo Ren, and Darth Nihilus. And what's going to be really great about this team in particular is when you have Rex in the leadership spot, it's going to be a fantastic counter to all of those Commander Luke-led Rebel teams, because they're going to be really critically hit heavy, and you're going to gain turn meter every time you impact, every time your team takes a critical hit.
So I kind of like this team. Rex has gone the distance, and he's a great leader, and eventually that heroes come and go, but he has stuck around. And the cool thing is, a lot of people haven't actually Zetaed their Commander Luke leadership abilities, so you can still take advantage of Rex's tenacity up in a lot of shards. And I'm going to start talking a little bit about the mod and RNG dependence here. I think the mod dependence is pretty low because all you need to do is basically set up the team, which is getting R2 to stealth right away, and then the team generates a lot of turn meter based off the critting of the enemy team. And so it just so happens that those Commander Luke teams are critting a lot, so you're going to be generating a ton of turn meter, and you're going to be pumping Nihilus up and getting it ready to annihilate heroes very fast. So I think mod dependence is pretty low on that regard. And for the RNG dependence, I think it's about low to medium, low to average, because the only thing that can kind of go wrong are like basically maybe R2 gets stunned by Han Solo in the beginning, or maybe Rex gets stunned in the middle. But basically, if Nihilus gets stunned, Rex can cleanse that. If GK gets stunned, that's okay. Same thing with Kylo. So I think there's not a lot of RNG dependence here, but I think it's controversial because there's a lot of Zetas on this team, and you can kind of debate whether they're dependent or not. What do you think, Cubs?
No, I think they are, and especially Kylo Ren. I mean, Kylo Ren's going to be useless without the Zeta. R2-D2 definitely needs to have a Zeta on him. Nihilus, I think, Nihilus might not be as dependent on the Zeta. I think it's really nice to have Wound in the Force. Obviously, his leader doesn't mean anything. But having Wound in the Force there really helps him get to an Annihilate quicker. So, I don't know. I think you can get by with 2 Zetas on this team. I don't know if the Nihilus one is as essential, but I think R2-D2 definitely is, at least on a number crunch. But you'll notice here something that he's doing every time R2-D2 stealths, just an attack strategy tip if you're running this team, he is going to be selecting Kylo Ren to be open and take that foresight on that shield because he's going to regain that protection. So that's just an attack strategy tip to keep in mind when you're running this team.
Yeah, I think you don't necessarily need to Zeta Nihilus as unique because you have debuffs coming from Kylo, you have some debuffs coming from the burning from R2, so you can get by there,
right.
But it's better to probably get that Zeta on Nihilus as unique because as you're running a bunch of light side characters, so you're going to require to have some debuffs on so you can increase the cooldowns guaranteed and get that Annihilate up quicker.
Yeah, so I'd say probably in order of priority, if I don't know what you think, Nukin, but I'd say Kylo is probably first priority for Zetas and then number crunch on this team, and then Wound in the Force.
Yeah, I think Kylo is one of those heroes that you're gonna need the Zeta if you're gonna run him in arena. R2 Zeta definitely, and Nihilus is probably last. No, actually second to last. I think combat analysis would be last for R2 Zeta for this team.
Cool. All right, let's take a look at team number 3.
So this next team is very similar. You're basically just replacing Kylo Ren with Thrawn. And
isn't this what you're running?
Yeah, ironically, this is the team that I'm running, and I actually tried to run an Empire team for about a month after Commander Luke came out, and
Empire scum.
Rebel scumbag. I had to switch to a Rex lead. I had to run this team, and I tried the Kylo team actually as well, and Thrawn is just a better hero overall. So this is Rex as the lead, and you have GK, General Kenobi, R2-D2, Nihilus, and Thrawn. And so
I think you can run this team with Zeta Kylo Ren if you don't have Thrawn. But I would say, I don't know if you agree with me, but Thrawn, in my opinion, is just a much better upgrade.
Yeah, Thrawn's Fracture and just his whole kit is just very good. He's very solid on defense. Some of the issues as well with Kylo was I was dropping him much more because the computer AI can't basically use his kit as effectively as you would do it on offense. And I think this team is better because if you're not using Kylo Ren, you don't need to put a Zeta there, and so there's less Zeta dependence there. So I think we're looking at about 1 to 2 Zetas for this team, number crunch, and Nihilus is unique. And you could put a combat analysis Zeta as well. Moving on to the mod dependence, what do you think? I think it's going to be very similar to the other team, probably low to medium. What do you think? Would you put more speed on R2 or would you put more speed on Thrawn?
I think you want Thrawn and R2 to both be fast. I mean, it's hard to give one or the other priority. Maybe R2 gets the edge, but the kicker is you really just want to get Fracture off as soon as possible and you also want to pick who they're going to fracture, assuming that they are running Thrawn. And so I would say maybe the priority is going to go to R2-D2 just so that you make sure that you at least beat their Thrawn, but both of them need to be fast.
Yeah, and then the RNG dependence is also quite low. I think it's very similar to the other team, and I think the heroes that you probably want to fracture are going to be Nihilus, Luke, their own Kenobi or tank, and basically once you get that fracture off, you get the stealth off, you're basically in good shape. So pretty solid team overall. I'm liking it. I've been using it for a few weeks now, and I think it's pretty good.
Right on. All right, moving on to team number 4. And team number 4 is going to be Resistance. And this is my buddy Grandmaster Broda who is running this Resistance team. And he runs 2 different sets. The first one is Finn with Poe, Resistance Trooper, R2-D2, and Han. Now, looking at this team, I think that Resistance, I'm actually really high on Resistance, Nukin. I really like them. The only kicker is that everyone's always going to mention is that they're very, very poor on defense. But outside of defense, when you're on offense, if you just get a Poe that is fast enough, he just rails the other team with exposes, and you're getting Terminator like crazy. And if you have BB-8 in there, which we'll get there in a minute, then he throws up Illuminated Destiny, and then it's just game over.
Yeah, I think that if you can get the team going, they're flawless. And usually you can get that to work like in Galactic War because you're starting nodes off with high turn meter. But in Arena, it's a different ballpark. So if your Poe and your R2-D2 aren't fast enough, this team will probably not work. So when it comes down to mods, I think you're going to need really fast mods on that Poe, on that R2-D2. What do you think? Do you like the OG Han in this team, or do you like BB-8?
I like BB-8. I think Han works really well, but I really like Illuminated Destiny. Playing with BB-8 on my test account, I've had a lot of fun, especially once I got the mods there. Before I had the mods there and my Poe wasn't quick enough, I lost every battle. But once I got Poe up towards like 250, 260 speed, then I started seeing a really, really positive impact. Zeta dependency, though, you have to have Finn Zeta'd, and you really have to have R2-D2 Zeta to make this team work.
Yeah, and I think BB-8 actually can impact how we rate the mods. BB-8 Secret Intel gives your team 25% potency, I believe, to your characters, so you can get by with less potency, and that's a good thing to have. I think for other things to talk about, the RNG, so this team is basically dependent on landing exposes, and if you're not going to be landing those, then that's another issue. So going first is an issue, and making sure that you're landing those exposes is also very important. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, in my experience, if you're fast enough, the exposes are going to happen enough. So I think RNG is important to it, but I personally haven't found RNG to be that big of a factor. Once you get your mods up there in the right place, you can really roll.
And the last team that we have for you guys is from DC, and he's running a General Kenobi lead with Zeta Barriss.
She is the worst.
Yeah, so
I hate Barriss.
she is a pain for some people, especially if you're not running Nihilus. But thankfully, this guy is, and he's running a Nihilus and a Thrawn and an R2-D2. So let's break it down. So for Zetas on this team, you're looking to average or high Zeta dependence. You need a Zeta on Barriss, and you probably want one on R2's number crunch to just make GK and Barriss that much more tanky. It's pretty optional to get the Nihilus Zeta, the Wound in the Force unique, and I don't think you need combat analysis in there. You definitely don't need Thrawn. So we're looking about 2 or 3 Zetas. For the mods, probably low to medium, right? Because this is a timeout team, and you're not there's no rush to kill them, and your team's definitely not going to die probably. So looking at low mods there. And what do you think about RNG? I mean, it's a timeout team, right? So
yeah, I don't think you really need RNG to make this team work. As long as the mods are there, you're going to win almost every time. The only RNG factor is going to be, what if Nihilus somehow annihilates Barriss? But if you plan around it, if you stealth everyone the right way with R2-D2, I think you'll be fine, because the computer does not know that they have to kill Barriss or nothing's going to work.
Yeah, I guess if they randomly annihilate your Barriss or your own Nihilus, you might be a little out of luck there. But typically that's not going to happen. You're gonna have a taunt on GK probably the whole time.
And even if they do take out your Barris, you still have General Kenobi, Nihilus, Thrawn, and R2 left over. You still have 4 really solid characters. And by that time, if you already have 1 or 2 down, you might be fine even then.
Right. So pretty good team overall. And I think that
just don't run Zeta Barris if you want to be cool. Only annoying people run Barris, right?
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Oh, friends don't let friends run Zeta Barris. All right, guys, I hope this video was helpful for you. I know a lot of you who did not get Commander Luke Skywalker are going through broken phone screens from chucking your phone across the room after struggling to beat him, but now you know you have at least 5 teams that you can use to beat Commander Luke Skywalker in the current meta. And so I encourage you guys to farm those teams up and stop finishing lower in your arena shards. You can totally beat him. You can get there. It's tough, but you can absolutely do it without Commander Luke Skywalker. And I hope you guys like this collab series that we're doing here with Nukin. We are going to keep doing this. The next video is actually going to be over on Nukin's channel.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about Gear 12 and the gear actually at Gear 12 and if it impacts the squad arena whatsoever. We're going to go onto our test dev accounts and we're going to see if there's any impact there. We're going to film some footage before and after the fact. It's going to be a great video. Be sure to check that one out.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I've got a link to Nukin's channel in the description. If you guys haven't subbed to Nukin's channel yet, definitely go ahead and subscribe to this Empire-loving guy. I mean, he's kind of weird, but he puts good videos out there. No, he puts great videos out there, guys. Go ahead and check out his content, and I'll be over there on his channel for the next video. But whatever the case is, I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please go ahead, like, comment, share, and subscribe to both my channel and Nukin's channel. And don't ever forget.
For my dead body. Sorry about the mess.